to be aware that if you don't succeed, then you have to fail fast, because there is no room in the real world to be able to keep experimenting. So I think.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, a podcast series brought to you by the Directors Institute World Council of Directors. I am Rajesh Joshi, and today we are truly honored to have with us an exceptional leader with over 28 years of remarkable experience in global service delivery, business transformation, and digital innovation. From leading high impact teams across multiple industries, including IT, high tech, and outsourcing, to pioneering digital and AI strategies at Lenovo, Mr. Debanjan Dutta's career is a testament to his visionary leadership. His work has not only shaped major global organizations, but has also driven industry wide transformation. We are beyond excited to dive into this conversation where Mr. Datta will share his insights, leadership philosophies, and how he's been able to drive real, tangible results in the world of digital innovation. Mr. Datta, thank you so much for joining us today. It is an honor to have you on FaceTime with Leaders.
Thank you so much, Mr. Joshi. It's an honor to be here, and I very much look forward to our conversation. Thank you.
The pleasure is all ours. Mr. Datta, you've had such a fascinating and varied career spanning over 28 years across multiple industries and countries. From your early days in market development at GE to leading digital transformations at Lenovo, NEC, and Accenture, it's clear you've not just navigated change but shaped it. I would love to start by hearing your story. Could you walk us through how your journey evolved, what key moments defined your path, and how the experiences along the way have shaped the leader you're today?
Yes, Mr. Joshi. If I look back and start kind of paraphrasing, you know, the times we have grown up in as students, as coming out of schools, careers, and educations, colleges and educations. A product of the 70s, schooling in 90s. So we truly went through the whole electronics digital transformation, if I would call it, in a way.
Mhm,
Right.
mhm,
So starting from a point where having a laptop in hand was a privilege, right? And then moving on to areas where you could actually see a pager in your on your belt, and that was like, oh, this is mobile communication. Going onwards to mobile telephony, right? Then going onwards to the smartphones, right? From the feature phones. So it's been a huge learning curve for me, I would say, across the last 25, 26 years. Um, the only one thing which I would probably say is that uh, I have I have looked at every new thing which has come my way to learn more, to be inquisitive, to be curious about it. Not in a kind of a brush aside way, but something which has genuinely interested me. I have invested time, tried to talk to people who know more about the subject, tried to do some self studies, self reflections, and then tried to look at how do I incorporate that into my learning curve, which kind of helps me do more and deliver. So I think that has been a key driver for me in a lot of ways. So if I then look back at my career curve, going from the pre-digital days of General Electric GE, where I started my career, as you rightly said, in market development in a very industrial engineering environment. And by background, I have been an instrumentation engineer. To then pivoting to uh, hardcore IT, I would say, almost a decade into my career when the dot-com boom was happening. And so I joined Wipro and then onwards to Infosys and then onwards to Accenture and then NEC, and now I am in Lenovo. So if I look at the beginning of my digital learning, it was an uncomfortable move because change is always uncomfortable, right? So trying to understand how IT works, how a data center is, right? What kind of technologies are there? So the whole 9 yards of learning, and then learning continuously, because IT has been so dynamic, it has changed so rapidly over the last 2 decades that it's mind-boggling actually. So I think the curiosity to learn, the curiosity to be able to learn enough to be able to have depth in the learning. I think that's been my mantra, and this is what I have also kind of shared with my teams, as an ongoing practice.
Wow, wow. It's incredible to hear how your journey has unfolded and the way you've embraced both challenges and opportunities along the way. What stands out to me is how much your ability to adapt and lead through change has been a constant theme throughout. I'm sure our listeners can really relate to that. Mr. Datta, can you share how you've approached transforming Lenovo's service delivery model, particularly with the integration of AI, and what has been your key focus to ensure smooth execution across all global teams?
That's a very insightful question, Mr. Joshi. Let me begin by saying that my journey in Lenovo is it has just begun. I'm 6 months into the role. And the second thing I would add to it is that Lenovo itself is transforming, as you rightly said, in the era of Gen AI. Right now, if you look at the consumer, whether it's an enterprise consumer or a retail consumer, or a government kind of a landscape, the concept of carrying your device is becoming lean, right? It is going very thin. So, uh, what has brought that out? There are various disruptors like the cloud technologies, right? Like the AI, automation, all of that. So Gen AI now is the biggest player on the rounds. And
Mhm,
what that is doing to Lenovo is that it has to rediscover its value, right, to its
mhm,
customers. So from the role I play, the operations of global service delivery, what that needs to look at is that while the delivery of Lenovo's products, solutions, and services are being given out or handed out or being serviced to their customers, how does the delivery team itself, the vast 55,000 strong delivery workforce, which looks at areas of customer engagement, of customer
mhm,
contact centers, of customer
mhm,
service deliveries, of field repairs. Uh, Also, solutions of Lenovo, which are not just in laptops and servers or storages, but also in terms of actual end-to-end implemented solutions, which are like vertical solutions. How do you look at integrating all these service delivery practices
mhm,
to be able to synergize together to have a common architecture? How do they have a common operating platform? What kind of efficiencies are there in terms of price to performance, right? What kind of efficiencies are there in terms of now working with Gen AI as
mhm,
your co-partner? Some people call it co-pilot and co-partner, right? And how does the actual delivery workforce integrate with the technology on ground in terms of AI? And how do you bring that one single common frame of service delivery and report that out consistently to the leadership, to the management teams on how are we doing, right? How are we doing in terms of our efficiencies around capabilities, our skills, our cost ratios? How are we doing in terms of our service to our customers? So what is the customer saying about our service delivery experience, right? So a lot of the groundwork which is required for the end customer to get the right service and the so-called customer delight, that really banks upon uh, operations, and that's the role I play in it.
Wow. Would it be wrong if I said that you're actually right where the action is at this moment, as far as Lenovo is concerned? Because any brand, I believe, when it is undergoing such a transformation, especially caused by some sort of a disruption in a technology that it may have to has to adopt. I mean, being there in the thick of the action must be pretty exciting, Mr. Datta. I mean, just by listening to what you said, I'm pretty excited with the position that you're in there.
I'm very privileged, I would say, because when I was taking up this role,
Mhm.
uh, there were certain butterflies in my stomach, right?
Uh-huh.
Because I come from a background which is not pure play infrastructure. I come from a lot of service delivery background. If you look at the other companies I've been and consulting backgrounds, but then as I said, learning forever. And what I bring to the table for Lenovo hopefully will help them get into a service native model, right? Which is what they are aspiring to be as a solution provider, not as a products provider, right? Yeah.
Right,
So exciting
right.
times.
Absolutely, absolutely. Looking back a little, you've played a pivotal role in NEC. What has been your drive and impetus for NEC's delivery transformation?
Yeah, so if I now look back at my previous organization just before Lenovo, where I was their global development and delivery center leader in NEC.
Okay.
Uh, if you would kind of look up NEC as a legacy, I would say 125 years now, 125 years old Japanese multinational corporation. Their core strengths are in engineering, I would say, engineering of technology, right? So
Mhm,
NEC has actually, pivoted from, a lot of, technologies across the decades because it's like got hundreds, 100 years of experience.
mhm,
Uh,
mhm,
in the current era, I would say in the 2020s, where NEC had to kind of look at two areas: how to rediscover its engineering strength into a as a service strength, I would say, right? So how do you offer your solutions and services truly as a service to the end customers, right? That is what NEC was trying to get into. And the GDC, as I call it, the Global Delivery Center, was a key, partner for NEC headquarters in Japan, based
mhm,
out of various locations, but primarily in India. It was a
mhm,
key
mhm,
partner to NEC to be able to help uh, productize, this model. So in terms
mhm.
of the actual software developments, the application developments, the testing of those solutions, taking them out into the market, kind of offering them, deploying them at customer locations, working hand in hand with the partners to be able to kind of go through the whole motions of implementation and support. So the entire spectrum of these services was being done by GDC. And what makes me feel, I would say, ultra proud is the fact that uh, when I took up the role, GDC was expected to be captive, which is
Mhm.
very true for most of the multinationals which look for lower cost service delivery, regions like India or some parts in Southeast Asia. But what we did over the last 3.5 years of my journey in NEC was to transform the GTC from being a captive delivery to being a partner for business growth. What that meant was we were actually building new solutions in GTC, of
Okay.
course, with the sponsorship of NEC Japan, but we were building new solutions. We were taking them to markets. We were also, kind of in the last 2 years, we were an active business development and go-to-market partner for NEC. So that was my prime, and I'm very proud of what we were able to do. I had a fantastic team. Again, here there was this whole equation of learning and also teaching. So I had a fabulous journey in NEC, and I will forever remember this experience of being able to pivot from being a delivery partner to being a growth partner.
Wow, wow. It is fascinating how you've been able to balance innovation and real world challenges on such a grand scale, Mr. Datta. It really speaks a lot of the power of leadership in adapting technology to meet real business needs, because that is where the key is. One is adaptation, but the second is implementation, which is absolutely phenomenal.
And I'll just also add one more thing, Mr. Joshi. It's also, there is a practical angle to all this. It's not just maverick exercises, right? You need to be aware there's a cost attached to it. So there are budgets, right? And you also have to be aware that if you don't succeed, then you have to fail fast, because there is no room in the real world to be able to keep experimenting. So I think a lot of the learnings on how to fail fast, I've graduated with that in a lot of my last organizations, but that has come to roost in what we did in NEC in terms of the GDC transformation.
Wow, wow. Absolutely, absolutely. Mr. Datta, at Accenture, you drove automation for productivity in operations. How did you measure and achieve the 35% productivity target? And what were the biggest takeaways from that experience?
Mr. Joshi, I think in Accenture I played various roles. So I will probably get to the answer in a bit, but let me just give you my journey in Accenture. I started off in Accenture in India, and I did three different roles before I moved on to Accenture in Southeast Asia, where I spent some time in Accenture Indonesia, looking at Southeast Asia markets, and in
Okay.
particular Indonesia as a country. Right now, my journey in Accenture was where I started with consulting in a very focused vertical domain, right? As an energy and utilities consultant, where my primary targets were customer acquisition, customer management, account management, and then obviously making sure that the deliveries are being done with the right quality and the right budgets and right time. In Accenture India itself, I moved on to, at that point of time, it was the thing, right? The upcoming thing around outsourcing. So Accenture is a big leader in business process and IT outsourcing in the global space. I was fortunate to have raised my hand and also picked up the first uh, pioneering role for Accenture's outsourcing business in India. So you can
Okay.
well imagine, trying to outsource in India to an Indian organization, right? Because there is no cost arbitrage. Right?
Oh,
Typically,
yes.
the outsourcing industry has boomed in the Western world, where their cost arbitrage was a major play at that point in time. So I learned through my set of challenges in terms of how to add value, how to be able to sell a value proposition to a customer and not
Mhm.
a cost proposition, right? So a lot of these ideas around how do you become more productive as an outsourced partner? How do you manage your cost and decrease your cost to serve over periods of time? Because usually outsourcing work businesses are annuity business. It's multi-year, right? Minimum is around 3 to 5 years, right? So
Right.
how do you make sure that your cost in year A to serve the customer versus the cost in year B and then onwards are progressively going down? In a lot of those arrangements, it's actually contractual obligation. So the experimentation, the ideation, the qualification of these different ways, techniques, process improvements, technology infusions into your whole outsourcing delivery process was a natural part of the whole journey. And very typically, if I talk about in business process, there are many levers to be able to be productive, which comes out of uh, you know process excellence ideas, but there are equally strong levers in the last 10 years now on being productive through technology. So simple things like autobots, automation of certain finance processes in accounts payable or accounts receivables, customer services, which are more automated around invoice generation. So those kind of things were very common play. And Accenture was at the start of that because it has been a leader in these ideas. So we implemented those ideas. We tested it out with certain clients. We found some bittersweet success, right? But with that came the whole maturity of the process, wherein we could actually go out in the market and tell the customer, hey, Mr. Customer, if you are doing 5,000 invoices in a month, then I guarantee you that I will save you 30% with my technology. So that's something which we delivered over a period of time.
Wow, wow. Achieving that level of productivity in such a dynamic environment must have been quite a challenge, Mr. Datta. It's incredible to hear how you navigated both the technological and human elements of the transformation. It's not just
And
about
Mr. Joshi,
numbers.
I, absolutely. I mean, just at picking up on that human element, because when you deal with in the case of, let's say, the outsourcing environment, you're
Mhm,
dealing with
mhm.
hundreds of agents, right? People who are
Oh, yeah.
coming in shifts, who are doing their jobs. How do you ensure that you're getting the consistency of quality? That agent A is doing the same thing which agent C is supposed to do, right? And repeatedly. So automation plays a big role, but also making sure that you're able to roll it out so that it stays consistent over a period of time. That was also a challenge. So working with people, change management, bringing forward the whole idea of technology has a point of place in the service delivery mix. Those leadership messages also has a very important role to play. So I think we did a good job in that aspect also.
Absolutely, absolutely superb, sir. Mr. Datta, with your extensive leadership experience and track record of driving transformation at a global scale, where do you see yourself heading next in your career?
Mr. Joshi, I think I really don't know where do I see myself in terms of the actual work.
Mhm.
What I do know is that with the kind of learning experience I've had truly over the last 15 years at a minimum, I have gone through the whole hoop of business models, transformation, digital transformation, uh, you know, customer, kind of outplays uh, business development, go-to-market ideas. So it's been a whole ball game. Uh,
Right.
I think with the kind of background I have kind of been fortunate enough to have, I would be looking at taking up some leadership roles where I can truly bring the transformation to uh, do justice to the organization and to their customers as well. So, what I mean by that is the organization exists to make profits for its shareholders, very natural. But in
Absolutely.
today's world, the organization also exists to be, to be relevant to the society, to be relevant to their customers, to be relevant to the industry in which they are. Because it's not just about P&L, it's also about many other aspects of the ESG, right? The whole uh, concept of being a responsible, organization to be able to add value. So I think uh, as a leader in my point of time in my career, I would look forward to roles which I can actually deliver an end-to-end experience to my organization with growth, I would say.
With any broader strategic or boardroom level roles that you would be looking at?
Yes, absolutely, Mr. Joshi. Given the fact that I am also kind of gearing up for independent directors kind of learning curve,
Hmm.
and with a qualified independent directors kind of certification, uh, I have been inside boardrooms once a while. I understand how the board members think in terms of their decision making, uh, which is sometimes transient, but at the most it is mostly strategic. So I think going forward, I am very keen to look at some of those opportunities where I can actually put my experience to test and add value as a member of the board.
Mr. Datta, as someone with extensive leadership experience across various global organizations, how do you approach corporate governance in today's fast evolving business landscape?
Yeah, I think, Mr. Joshi, the the landscape of corporate governance itself is going through a lot of change now.
Hmm.
So if we look at corporate governance in the years past, I would say last few decades, it was more about largely about being compliant, I would say. But in today's world, corporate governance is more about being responsible. So it is not just about being compliant and a tick in the box, but how do you make sure that your policies, your frameworks, your objectives of the organization are yielding results to the society. I think uh, small, big, or medium sized is not the way to look at it. But any organization, when it looks at its corporate governance mandate, it is now looking at a holistic view, which is more around ESG,
Hmm.
as well as things around staying true to their shareholders. So it's a delicate balance, I would say. Uh, and in this delicate balance, every organization in their corporate governance agenda is making sure that they are relevant to the contribution they are making to the society, as much as they're relevant to their shareholders in terms of the profit contribution they're making. So I think that's where I would also kind of hedge
Right.
my bets.
Any key principles you believe are essential for ensuring transparency, accountability, and long term sustainability in large enterprises?
Yeah, my personal belief on this is that every leader in the organization, they are a role model, right? So leaders show the way. So that if the leaders walk the talk, right, and they do it consistently, not just as a facade, but they do it consistently. They truly believe in what they're saying. I think that goes a long way in being able to set the right motions of accountability, transparency, and objectivity in their teams. So the teams will follow you, and they will follow the organization. The stickiness to the organization is where the leaders, uh, more importantly, the key management personnel, if I can use that term, right? They walk the talk and they show by examples of what they are trying to achieve in their daily, motions and their outcomes. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, Mr. Datta. As it is said, it starts at the top. It is fascinating to hear your approach, especially the focus on long term sustainability. Mr. Datta, coming to the last question of this podcast. Directors Institute's courses are known for providing valuable insight into leadership and governance. How have they influenced your own leadership style, especially when it comes to tackling corporate governance challenges? Were there any specific lessons or ideas from the courses that you found particularly impactful?
Mr. Joshi, I will probably start by saying that I got introduced to Directors Institute through another peer leader who
Mhm,
was also a part of this journey, right? And what made me kind of reflect on the way Directors Institute is kind of helping some of the senior leaders to uh, kind of shape their thoughts and their experiences is twofold. I think uh, the curriculum is very well structured in terms of being able to address, uh, in very simple, lucid terms, the areas around corporate governance, the watch outs, the lookouts in the Companies Act, and so on and so forth, for somebody who has spent enough time in the industry, not a beginner. So I think that's a well thought through curriculum. It keeps you anchored. In fact, I would say the second and the more important and the more interesting one, which I found, was the sessions which the Directors Institute has hosted through some of the subject experts, and those sessions have been fascinating. I mean, there have been conversations, there have been breakout sessions, there have been avenues to discuss in those live sessions with the expert member on how some of those boardroom actions play out in the real world, and what is the
mhm.
consequence of a decision as a board member you take. What are the different types of members who influence or are not influenced but are responsible for taking that decision. A simple example. I mean, since you asked the question, what I am taking away is that the ability to say no inside a
Mhm.
boardroom, and the way to say that as a negative is something. It's a very fine balance. So I think it's a remarkable learning experience which I will take away from this engagement. I think that's been a very insightful experience for me. How do you say no in typical tough corporate boardroom scenarios?
Wow, wow. It is great to hear how these courses have helped shape your approach, Mr. Datta. Your insights today have been truly inspiring. Thank you for taking the time to share your experiences and wisdom with us. We all appreciate the depth of your journey and the value you've brought to the world of leadership and corporate governance. On behalf of everyone at Directors Institute, we wish you continued success and all the best as you continue to lead, inspire, and innovate in everything you do.
Thank you so much, Mr. Joshi. It's been a lovely talking to you. It's been a privilege. Thank you so much.
The pleasure was all ours, sir. And to all our listeners, that's a wrap for today's episode. We hope you found today's conversation as enriching as we did. Be sure to join us next time for more stories from trailblazing leaders who are shaping the future. Until then, keep challenging yourself, stay curious, and keep striving for greatness. Take care and see you in the next episode. This is Rajesh Joshi signing off. Thank you.